Well, we thought we'd show you the orange garden one last time before the frost gets it, and it's really looking nice right now. Appropriately enough, since it's just about Halloween, we've got an orange glow coming from this corner of the garden. Now, one of the plants that's doing very well for us is this coleus, and this is rustic orange coleus, and it is just beautiful, and it contrasts very well with all of the green foliage that we have in this garden to give it this nice orange splash here in the corner. Now the cannas that we planted have also done very well. We had two. We had Wyoming here with the orange tops and then the burgundy colored foliage. And we also had orange beauty cannas in the back that you see that were very tall with the dark green foliage and the nice bright orange tops. Now if you keep the old canna flowers trimmed off, they'll look a lot better for you and they won't get quite as raggy looking and will look nice clear through that first frost. Now cannas and also with dahlias, you'll wait until the first freeze kills that top foliage down, and then you want to dig those bulbs because they're not really hardy here very well. And if you want to make sure to save those, you want to dig those and store them in some dry peat moss or wood shavings in a dark place that's about 45 to 50 degrees Fahrenheit. So we're enjoying this show now, but we'll be digging these up fairly soon. Also, you'll notice in the back, the really tall plants are our lion's ears. They are just outstanding in the back, and we actually have two crops of these. The back ones are the ones that we planted at the beginning of the year, and then in the front you'll see here we've got some shorter ones. These are actually a second crop. We had some lion's ears here that bloomed and went to seed, and then they died and we took those out, and this is our second crop of lion's ears here. And we may get a few blooms on this before the frost. So those have done really well for us. Now this plant that you see here is a very nice orange tinted plant, and this is a Texas firebush. And the nice thing about this plant is it has the nice orangey red tubular blooms, but also if you look down in the plant, the stems here have an orange tint to them, and then they have these nice bright green leaves. So you get a nice mixture of the green and the orange with this plant in your garden. So it's very good. Now the lantana, which of course as you can see is a great butterfly favorite, is also a very good plant for the orange garden, and it has nice dark green leaves contrasting with the orange flowers. And lantana, you can just find one that's orange and that'll work very well. They last very well through the heat up to that first frost. Now here in Oklahoma, they aren't generally winter hardy, so we just plant them as annuals. Now one of the annuals that did very well for us is the Zinnia angustifolia, and you can just see this sea of orange here. Now this is a zinnia that has almost a daisy-like looking flower. A very nice small flower, only about an inch across. And also you'll notice that the foliage on this plant is very narrow. And it has a low-growing, kind of a mounding habit to it. And these plants work best if you plant several of them together, so you get this nice mass effect of color here. The other thing that's nice about this zinnia is that it's both heat and drought tolerant, and it's also tolerant to high humidity, which we definitely had this summer. And on the final note, for zinnia, these are very resistant to powdery mildew. If you look on the foliage, it's pretty clean. And you'll remember our Oklahoma zinnias finally succumbed to powdery mildew, but these are still hanging in there, and we don't really have any powdery mildew on these zinnias. Now moving along over here, another great orange plant this time of year is our celosia. And this is actually Orange Castle celosia. And it's a very nice orange color, almost psychedelic. It's got the orange and the pink in it. Now you'll recall that last Christmas I used red celosia to make a wreath out of. And you could actually do this right now with the orange celosia. Again, cut it, hang it upside down to dry, and you could make a wreath for both Halloween and for Thanksgiving out of the orange celosia. So you can enjoy it both in your garden, and you could also make a wreath out of it.
We hope you've enjoyed this classic from the Oklahoma Gardening Vault. Remember, even though these tips and techniques are timeless, there's always something new to learn in the world of gardening. By subscribing to both Oklahoma Gardening and OK Gardening Classics, you'll have access to a wealth of gardening knowledge, both classic and contemporary.